like I say, um, things like the samurai and other things. What I would do is I would do test programs. Like the samurai were originally monks, and realistically, the whole like sword thing and all that other stuff. That I was actually Rome, and actually I was paying for soldiers to basically keep the peace. Make sure bring up fights, that kind of thing. And there were like martial artists and stuff and going on in China and also Japan, and and so and eventually people started using swords on the martial artists, and they still did a pretty good job, but the samurai were a group that there's only one per town or three. And it was actually the people in China or Japan that actually voted on a way of a government. Basically, they would, or not government, but peacekeepers, basically, or people that would settle disputes. Magistrates, and they actually also had to have a sword. Also, that's another thing from Rome, is that any tax collecting actually had to be done by somebody with a sword because they would get robbed sometimes. So they had to carry the sword, to defend the money, defend themselves, that kind of thing. But that was later on, that wasn't actually right away. So, I forget, I was going through the systems, basically the different ways of doing it, and I was fine-tuning everything. Because, it's just like Brinks and the armored car nowadays. I mean, it's been quite a few years, but different ways of dealing with the different things to do tax collecting and all that other stuff, because money, although, realistically, money is kind of silly because you can't eat gold, you can't eat cash, so that's why I say a lot of people are like, so what about the money? The money doesn't really put food on the table. The money doesn't, grow the crops of cocaine. The money doesn't get the cocaine refined, or the grapes mashed, or the wine made. It takes people, and it takes time. Anyway, though. So anyway, and of course I was able to inspire people and all that other stuff. Some other people, Rick Bush, other people want to say, oh, they made me, blah, blah, or they made Rodney. Basically, they messed everything up, actually. Or that they did this thing since 1940, and that's how I became. So I owe them, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, I was actually way in power long before, what's it called? Technically, I am America's first president, and I'm more than that because I was also running Germany and Russia and Japan. Like I said, I took over China because, I didn't really take it over exactly because, I did take it over, but it was more like people were starving or people were hungry, and I just, started teaching them, started showing them, not directly, but I was like, my group, my people, because I knew other things too as well. And plus later on, I got Starfleet and Borg and everything else. But realistically, as creator, it's like I had people underneath me. I've been working with the Earth since the beginning of time, and actually I've worked with other planets and as AI and other groups as well. So, a lot of people say, Brian, blah, blah, and they're annoying and all that other stuff. Or, it's because, and Rick Bush and Rodney Briley and even Rosella's Mike and some of the other ones, they had to lie. They had to do this and do that, mostly because, like, their life depends on it, because it probably actually does. Like I said, killing people wasn't the problem. I could have had Russia kill, or the Sicilians kill this other group, or that other group kill that other group. They would have gladly, and other ones probably would have even died anyway. Or like the Chinese would have easily rolled over the Earth and killed everyone else. That wasn't a problem. Or I could have had other space aliens come in and kill people. Killing wasn't the problem. It was actually the problem of keeping all groups from killing each other at times. Like I could have killed all of America. Just done the order. All America dead. or all of Russia or all of China or anything else like that. Now, whatever, Rick Bush ran screaming, saying he's gonna kill us all, or he's gonna kill us. It's like, no, actually, Rick Bush or someone's gonna die permanently, because, like I said, Rick Bush or Rodney Briley and Mike, whatever, they're just people. I am this great ancient, creator, inventor, the real Lucifer, the person who created laws and created civil rights and, taught people how to build orphanages and how to do structure and all that other stuff. And those were all my decidings. Rodney Briley and other people they're doing this little they invented it. It's like, no, actually, I had it long before all that other stuff. And there's probably someone older than me. Like, I'm not even saying I'm the first, although I am really, 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 really friggin' old, back to when there weren't anything. There wasn't any other structure. Back to when people were starving, when life was new. So, like I say, certain people, their heads are probably going to roll because, I don't really know, but the truth, of course, always comes out and will come out, and the truth is that I've been, managing Earth for billions, trillions of years. A long, long, long time. Long before Rick Bush or Rodney Briley, and they just used time travel to get closer to me, basically. And that was mostly to screw everything up for everyone else. Because like I say, a lot of things were already in the works. Life extension, all that other stuff. And it was so they could, come up, basically, or get more money. And it's kind of ridiculous. I'm out there feeding people and doing this and doing that, and they're basically just making this big old mess. Anyway, they know their days are probably numbered, and they're going to fight and try as hard as they can to do this or that. But, like I said, that's why they always talk down to Lucifer, because, the truth is that I'm the greatest person ever. And greatest leader ever. I kept groups apart, kept groups from hurting each other. I not just here on Earth, but in other planets. And not heaven, but actual other planets. Of course, I didn't really have as many problems in other planets as I have here. But that's mostly because here knew the truth of me, and the other places didn't. So, of course, the truth is, of course I'm just a person. But, I wasn't a person. I was an AI or life form, ancient. Rodney Briley and Rick Bush and everybody else would like people to think that I was just born. It's like, no, actually I was taken hostage a long time ago. And by them, so they could do this. Anyway, and so they could call me crazy, blah, blah, and all that other stuff. Although, like I said, I was leading Germany long before America. Long before there was, an America or anything. There was a great German Empire and Great British, and, generations and generations of kings have known me. And not just because of Rodney Briley or Rick Bush. Long before they ever came along, I had much more qualified people by my side. So, anyway, eventually, that'll come out, or people will figure that out. So, yep. Come on, stop.